Servus, willkommen in Bayern. Hello, welcome to Bavaria for the last race run of 2015. It's the third race weekend of the BMW IBSF four-man bobsleigh World Cup. And as we head into the second heat, Martin Haven and John Morgan staring down the barrel of a fascinating race. Top four covered by 1700s. Previously unbeaten Francesco Friedrich, 2/10 back in fifth position. John, the first heat has opened up a whole new can of worms for the season.
Well, Rico Peter, he hits everything in sight. He lost the bronze medal last week by a 100th of a second here at Königssee. He was all over the track, and boy, was he fast at the bottom. But as expected, Max Arndt, he started late, and he showed his driving skills and why he's the world champion 2 times. But Nico Walther, the young former luge pilot, second in the world championships last year, trying to break upon the German scene as the #1 driver. Today might be his day.
Well, Walter made it onto the podium in third place yesterday in the two-man and leads. He'll go last of our 20 athletes. 24 sleds started and 20 go through into the second heat. They go in reverse order of their first round performance and 20 down to 1. Both heats count. Aggregate time decides your winner. And on this track, making a mistake is going to cost you dear in the second heat. So clinging on in 20th position for the last few sleds was Yoon Jong-won of Korea. Koreans made not a bad start in 15th position, but a couple of errors crept in and they just managed to get the second run of the day here. 8/10 off the lead. Their target, Uge Salims and Oskars Kiebermanis, tied 600s in front of them.
16th and 17th in the first 2 four-man events. Fell off the podium yesterday. The first 2 events in two-man, he had medaled. And yesterday, when it was live on Korean TV for the first time ever, he finished back in a 5th or 6th place spot.
As you say, his first non-podium of the season, but he has not raced much here in this winter, in this Königssee track before. When we get to North America in 3 weeks' time, then he'll be on very much more familiar territory.
Now, this is a very challenging tracks all over the place, but especially right here at the exit of Kreisel, Turbodrome, as they call it here in Königssee. Watch the back end of the sleds. So minute steering. And it's 75 plus miles an hour, 71 there, 76.6. Keep your eyes on that speed right there. That tells you everything because you're coming uphill in the last 200 meters of the track.
49.59, a little quicker than his first heat, 600ths of a second. Tidied things up below the Kreisel. That labyrinth, you see the going away shot through. If you thread that right, that can make a huge difference. Start, good.
Look at the holes in the driver's push bar. It's to get weight out of the sled. There's a minimum weight of the sled, total maximum weight of the team in the sled. And we call this aspect of the sport choreography on ice. Look at the arms come up and down. The brakeman takes care of the push bars, and now it's up to the driver. Look at the runner tips, looking for the energy coming at us. He's got a little bit of a skid. And this is a long straightaway. The Americans have named it the bend away because it's not straight.
It's definitely not. It's got 3 unnumbered corners in it, but they are corners nonetheless. Latvia in a real muddle in the first heat. Uge Salims and Oskars Kiebermanis tied 18th position in a field of 24. This is previously an unheralded low for these 2 drivers. I'm not sure Salims has been this low in a field ever in his four-man career.
13th and 16th, the first 2 events in Altenburg, then Winterberg. Good starts. I mean, they get great start times, 4:87. You know, and don't know what happened. But the Latvians do have new four-mans, Eurotech. They've changed over. And I don't think any one of the Latvian drivers and four-man have got a feel or a rhythm for their sled yet. That shows it right there.
Well, the other thing when you change the sled and its nature is that what you used to use in terms of runners will change as well. So you're kind of changing every aspect of the performance.
He's got 2/10 lead. You would expect him to. He had a 800s better start.
It's a better run in the second heat from Uge Salims. It might pick him up a spot or 2. What it's not going to do is put him up into the top 10. Unless there's an awful lot of crashes coming up.
1600's better in that run, so they take the lead away from the Koreans, who gracefully exit. A lot of Koreans here, a lot of people in red jackets. They're all the people becoming officials for the Olympics a couple years from now. They've taken their jury exams over the weekend. Be interesting to see. We notice a lot of English-speaking Koreans here.
Oh, yeah.
Well, here's the exit of the S's. Boy, what a challenge. You can't have a four-man sled in a skid like that. Now into the Turbodrome, the Kreisel. And look at the heads, the aerodynamic position. You see him shaking there. That was a big variance there, drive. And not easy coming down this track.
Ugi Salims, our race leader. Teammate Oscar's Kibermanis now up to challenge the 30-year-old. Kibermanis just 22. So the rising star of Latvian bobsledding, but again, in a bit of a slump here. Fourth fastest starter, 18th at the bottom.
And he was one of the first guys out early, too, so fourth.
Yeah, fourth sled on the
Yesterday,
ice.
he had the second best start time in the two-man. It finished like 17th. And the Latvians last week in Winterberg had 3 teams in the top 6 in two-man. So the brand new four-mans, they're still trying to get the rhythm for them. Start. Awesome.
Yeah, 483, another very quick getaway. That'll be in the top 3 in the competition.
Look at these 4 S's. They call this the snake pit, these 4 S's. Real challenge as you come out.
Oh,
come out
huge
perfect.
skid. Hold it off there, and the back end was still going up the wall when he was bringing the nose down.
That's a challenge, boy. Exit here is going to be so crucial. Not as much variance as his teammate did.
Good exit, and down through the lower labyrinth. He's only 700s back. He could take the lead away from Ugi Salims.
There is some speed here at the bottom if you're clean. He's
You
not
don't hit
clean,
the wall. 14 to 15.
Best speed. Boy, this is not a good weekend for Kibermanis, the 22-year-old, who's the young stud of the Latvian program, and he's in a slump in four-man. And boy, they're going to be shaking their heads. They got 3 teams out on tour, fully sponsored. They look like Formula One teams. They got so many logos on them, and they do everything right for this little small country, but look at the body language on Kibermanis.
If there was a dog there, he'd be kicking it right now.
And here's the exit of 9, up at the S's, excuse me. Back end is airborne. Watch the back end. Late coming off. Look at the articulation on the sled. You see the sled splitting there. It was maxed out. Then here in the bottom part of the track, out of Echo Vaughn, you're starting to come uphill. And you can't tap like that right there. He had the 3rd best speed. Driving errors, a sled he's not familiar with. Not a good weekend for this young Latvian.
Ugi Salims on the right, and his team leads. Teammate Oscar's Kibermanis has just posted the slowest run of the heat. Next up is Loïc Kosterg of France off the 20th start. He came down 100th in front of Kibermanis, who came off a 4th quickest start. There was a quarter second faster.
Bruno Manjon, equipment. Kostej is from La Plagne, site of the 1992 Winter Olympic Games bobsled venue in France.
Little bump up the first turn. It's hard to get that smooth with a long four-man.
Now he's 2100s back. He's got to be so clean here out of this 4th S. Look at the rudder tips. 1 hit, 2 hits, 3 hits, 4 hits. The best lines through there involves 3 maximum hits. So the 2100s.
Good exit.
Down to 26, he's going to drop at least 1, if not 2. He could drop 3 spots here in the last place.
The Latvians might be rescuing their day a little
coming
bit.
back a
climbing
little
up the
bit.
order. What about the speed at the bottom?
He found it.
Second
Wow.
fastest.
He went from 4th in the last 150, 200 meters. 2nd best speed, and he moved up. He picked up 700ths on that uphill section of the track. Uh-oh.
He beat
No,
Kibermanis
that's
as
pretty
well.
good. There's pretty good control by the brake.
Good thinking.
Those grooves in the bottom, those are the brakes. That's a technology that's been molded in time in this sport for decades. 4 hits. Boy, I think he would have been cleaner down there. He would have had even more of a lead.
Well, this is what saved him. Good run through the lower labyrinth.
Yeah,
Didn't hit too much.
bottom left airborne on the runner, Loïc.
Yeah.
He shows he can drive. He just doesn't have a good start.
Joyeux Noël. Happy Christmas to the Frenchman and his compatriots. Next up is Simone Bertazzo of Italy. 16th after the first heat, 100th off 15th, 300ths off 12th. He could be in a top 10 if he has a good second run.
7th and 10th in the first two events to probably the most experienced driver in the field.
This season so far, Bertazzo has been pretty much outperforming all but his very best races ever. 499.
A couple hundred slower. Let's listen to the sound a little bit of these four-man bobsleighs.
Hey, Oma,
Only 3 taps as he goes into Turbodrome.
Nice consistent line and then diving down on the exit, right down the middle of the chute.
He's 1100s, then 700s. Good speed here, he's got a chance. This shows you, oh, big speed. He's got a chance here to get into green numbers. He's done it.
Yeah, definitely going to pick up a couple of spots off Kosteg and Zalims. And
some tracks you cannot get rewarded as a good driver in the bottom part of the track. This track here presents such a challenge to the driver's talent, and it rewards you with good lines. Yep. Even though he had a deficient start time and he's behind by double digits, the Exeter Kreisel, he did everything right. Simone Bertazzo shows he still has the good eyes and hands. Watch the back end of the sled here. Is it airborne or is it smooth? Little bit airborne. That bottom left runner, it's pretty tough getting through there without that bottom left runner being up in the air. Look at these pictures. It's a little tricky down there.
yes, it is. It was tricky in the 60s. It's really tricky now. Simone Bertazzo of Italy leads. 5 of our 20 sleds down in the final race pre-Christmas. Getting ready to head home for the holidays. Holiday Ham's Casey Wickline behind Nick Cunningham with James Reed and Sam Mitchener on the US sleds. Martin Haven, John Morgan watching the action with you from Berchtesgaden in Bavaria.
Cunningham, 493 in the first run. Had a little skid up top, though. 491, that's better. James Reed, he's from Berchtesgaden. His parents are here. It's a home track for him.
Yeah.
Didn't start sliding until about 3 years ago. Good athletes in the sled. Cunningham, great finish yesterday in the two-man, 8th. Matched that with his 4th place last week in the two-man, so Cunningham's had a pretty good first half of the year.
So far, he was 9th, 900s up at the start, 2200s up coming down the bend away, still has 210s, but a big
hit there.
Busting hits against the wall.
This is the night train that won the Olympic gold medal in 2010. The slider down to 9, has not got good speed. This is going right to the 100th.
Avoided the wall, 14 to 15, tucks his head.
Brian
4947.
Schreiber falls against the backdrop there. 100th, okay.
James Reed's mum and dad down there at the bottom. They've come down from the former Olympic venue further north in Bavaria.
I don't know if that's going to be good enough for Nick to move up. Line here, can't really see where he made a big move. Oh, he's low there. Look at this. And watch the sled come way up. Then he's got to steer more than he wants to get the exit of the curve.
And then dive out.
Yeah, and he dives out, and this is where you're diving into, the labyrinth. And here that's pretty rough right there.
Yeah.
You know,
takes a lot of energy out of the sled, but he kept it clean, 14 to 15. James Reed and his family going home to Garmisch-Partenkirchen.
Yeah, he's from Garmisch, not Berchtesgaden.
Cunningham will be heading to Monterey, California. Very different weather, hopefully, for his winter. Jan Verba of the Czech Republic, 14th after the first heat, 200s ahead of Nick Cunningham. And 400s behind Lamindine of Great Britain. So a chance again for Verba to put in a good run and move up.
This is a pretty experienced four-man pilot. Tough first week of the season in Altenburg. totally destroyed his brand new sled. They had to get it back to Prague and redo it, and they had to go borrow a sled off the Europa Cup athletes up in Wittenberg, bring it down to qualify to even compete in Altenburg. He did, went out and finished 16th, 15th place. And last week finished in 14th, and here he had really good run on the bottom of the track, so he's +4.
Good exit there onto the bend away, and this could put him in the green numbers ahead of Cunningham by the time he gets out of the Kreisel.
This is where he was pretty good on the bottom. Here it is, there's the green. Good line.
200 top on Cunningham from the first heat. He's doubled that. Now, can he stretch away and try and overhaul the British in front of him?
He's flying.
Second fastest.
Ooh, real early on that finish curve. 49.26.
That's a quarter second better, nearly 2/10 better than Nick Cunningham and 2/10 better than his own first run.
So this is going to be his best finish of the season and gives the Czechs something positive to go home to the Christmas break with. Experienced driver, top 5 in Altenburg a couple years ago in the 4-man bob, so he's got the ability. Watch the feet. Watch these guys getting into this little bathtub. They got to wait. Timing. Watch the brakemen, or the number 2 guys, wait for them to get in their feet. Now watch his arms come up. Boom. Takes his face mask, puts it down, get into an aerodynamic profile, and hope the driver, Jan Verba, can find the best fast line on the bottom. Now watch this entry into the finish curve. Watch how quickly this sled changes direction. It's airborne, the back right runner. Well, he picked that up. It's never over till it's over.
Yeah. Too far over to his right and just went straight up the wall and tried to haul it off. And that opens the door for Great Britain's Lamin Dean. Second fastest off the start, this team, with John Baines, Joel Fearon and Andy Matthews on the GB sled. Iron out a couple of errors and they could be well up in the top 10.
Second best start in the first run, but Lamin hit everything in sight. Including, I think they ran too far because they drifted out of these drive lines right off the bat. Went to the right side of our screen. Let's see if he does it again.
He's in, he's got his hands
much
on the
better, 43, much better.
Big start.
200s. Not the best start speed, though. Do you see that?
Now Harrison and Sophia will be watching back home, so John Baines' family glued to the TV set. 3-year-old Harrison, a big bobsled fan already. Good exit.
This is much better run for Lamin Dean. He could live in this leader's box 3 or 4 places if he keeps these lines up.
Ooh, there you go.
A little early there, going into Kreisel. Ooh,
high second wave. Good exit there.
He's lost it.
The track.
He's lost it.
Oh, needs some speed at the bottom. Needs 125.
Some kind of drift into the Kreisel. He's high there too. Boy, he's going to fall 7th best speed. That speed is way off.
That speed can't be right.
Can't be right.
Not a good run. 49.61.
Boy, to post to have the best start time like that, 8, and to finish behind Jan Verba.
Lee Johnson and Ivo Danilevic always seem to be battling each other in a previous era of British and Czech bobsledding.
Well, Lamin Dean will do much better in the World Championships. Look, this is about driving, man.
It wasn't that ugly a run.
No, start time. Brakeman didn't hit perfectly.
Lamin didn't get to the handle and the sled was moving.
There was no cohesion there, but it still got the best start of the second heat. Watch the brakeman. Ooh, look how quickly the brakeman's in. He's down before the other 2 guys. Hand comes up, puts the masks down.
You need 4, 3, 2 to be sitting down. Ivo Ferriani, the president of the IBSF down there, chatting to the guys. And next at the top of the hill is our 2-time world and former Olympic 4-man champion, Stephen Holcomb. Eager to get home to recover from this thigh strain that's bugged him so far in the first 3 weekends of this season.
Holcomb struggling, and his 2 rookies, Frank Del Duca, Sam McGuff. 493 start, 491 in the first run. Ooh. This is the night train 2 that won the bronze medal. Holcomb did in this sled at the Sochi Olympics. But it doesn't matter how good equipment you got, good runners, you got to eat that start time. Holcomb goes 7th place in the 2-man yesterday, but very encouraging for a U.S. team.
He had a good weekend last weekend as well.
Excellent. It's all about speed down here.
Good line.
He doesn't have it.
Look at this, though. He will have it, because that was a great exit from the Kreisel. Went straight through the labyrinth like it was no drama at all.
Oh, down to 100th. He got 6th best time. He's going to fall at least one spot, if not two. No, one spot. Loses his placing to Jan Verba. So on the bottom part of the track, Holcomb didn't have the speed that he did in the two-man when he had the 22nd best start, 16th best start both runs, and had the 3rd best speed, and finished 7th with those deficient start times here.
1300ths behind Verba on that run.
Little drift here on the exit of the S's.
Wasn't that bad, though.
Well, that tap there, but he kept it pretty straight. U.S. coach is really high on the team he's got behind him. First time they've all been matched up together. Del Duca and McGuffey are rookies.
Yep.
Second year, Carlo Valdez, the track and field athlete.
The crowd here high-fiving everybody. Look how young some of the fans are. Next up, the first of our 3 Russians, and the only one not in the top 10, unlike yesterday, where not one of the Russian sleds made a top 10 finish. This is Nikita Zakharov, only 17th at the start, so he comfortably outdrove the starting performance of this team. What a time, John Morgan, when the Russians were never outstarted by anybody.
Oh, that's dangerous right there. Something happened as they hit the exit of those drive lines, and the sled just vibrated left to right.
Well, the athletes need to drop in vertically. If you go in sideways, it pushes the sled sideways, and it's on ice.
700ths is now down to 3, and this isn't going to help.
Jan Verba of the Czech Republic might be on the verge of a top 10 finish here from his great second run.
He's going to have to get the back end of the sled here. Watch the back end. Ooh, he got hit. Wasn't too bad. The speed is way off the pace.
Coming off the Kreisel, only 5th on the split times.
4th best speed, 15 down. Chance to drop behind Holcomb.
Behind Holcomb he is, and ahead of Cunningham by a whisker, but Jan Verba and the crew remain in the lead, now with 10 sleds to go. This might be the oldest track that we still race on, barring St. Moritz, which is rebuilt fresh every year, but it still has secrets.
Watch this. Watch this out of the drive lines here. Something happens.
Who gets in sideways?
Well, I don't know. Watch the runner tips. He's coming out of the drive lines now.
Yeah, and now they're dropping in, and look
at
they're
that.
rocking
Look at that. Yeah, they're rocking
side
to side. And,
yeah.
Or that was Zakharov getting his hands in the D-ring. Something happened. And then here, watch him put the brakes on. That's the technology that I call molded in time.
Yeah, frozen in time, that's for sure. Well, Nikita Zakharov lies in 3rd behind Stephen Holcomb and Jan Verba of the Czech Republic, who leads off a 14th best run in the first heat with 10 to go. Tenth place, heat 1 of this pre-Christmas race in Königssee, Bavaria. Justin Cripps, Tim Randall, Josh Fitzpatrick, and Ben Coquell, the Canada sled.
4th place yesterday for Team Cripps, 2-man bobsled event that he bronze medaled in last year and won the event. His first ever gold on this track in January 2014. Very good entry into the sled, 6th best start. Cripps seemed to have lost a lot of time on the bottom part of the track in the first heat. 1900, that's a lot of time to be leading going into the Kreisel. Ooh, big skid there, though. See how much he's got to drive here. Up, down, back up.
Trying to stabilize it. Gets the exit
Down to 11.
Drilled.
That's really good there, though.
Okay, here we go. I think Jan Verba's time in the leader's box is over. 124.
Pretty good speed right there. Down the middle, down to 800s. This is going to be close. I think it's going to win by a couple hundredths. 6. So good job by the Czechs, and good job by Cripps to hang in there.
Czech Republic still in 2nd position, and they still, by over a 10th, have the fastest run of the second heat. Jan Verba might yet climb up. There's only 600 separating him from Cripps. That's not a big window of opportunity for people to fall into.
Okay, look at the runner tips as the pivotal part of the track, the exit of the S's. You see him trying to gain control. He's skidding all the way down, including here. Watch the sled come sideways as it enters the Kreisel. That's a lot of time he lost right there.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas, Justin Cripps. Canada hoping to have 2 four-man crews after Christmas. John Jackson returns to World Cup racing for Great Britain. First major international race since the Winter Games in Vancouver for Jacko. Rest and recuperation after a lot of surgery last year, plus starting a family with his wife, Paula Walker, the former Great Britain bobsledder. Great view inside this leather. Look at those comfy chairs they sit in.
Oh, it's a real comfortable ride. Really nice getting in there.
Bare carbon fiber and steel.
.487 in the first run, it's pretty good. This team, Great Britain's got some great athletes on this team.
All 4 of these men are also driving sleds. Brad Hall and Bruce Tasker raced in the 2-man yesterday. Ben Simons on the back is also driving in Europa Cup in 2-man.
And they have a new guy that's the sled dog. His name's Mark Lewis Francis. He was the Olympic gold medalist in the 4x100 in Athens in 2004. So
He's some runner.
Yeah.
He is
So
some
the British got some start times and speed. Lamondine had the second best start in the competition in the first heat. John Jackson, the most experienced GP pilot, and showing some great lines.
Look at this, quarter second up on Justin Cripps. The gap between them in the first heat was just 900ths of a second. Still a quarter second up. Well, this is going to cement a top 10 result for Jacko on his return. Well
nice
done.
return. Well, maybe a little time off. Had his first child, and Paula's expecting twins. And listen to him. These are all guys who drove yesterday. All three of these guys drove in the race this weekend.
I was talking to Jacko before the first heat, and he was a bit unsure the way it was going to go. This is testing the water against the best in the world.
Well, this is the best in the world lines right here. Look at the perfect exit of Kreisel. Now watch the back end of the sled as it snakes through this chicane, the labyrinths, and that might be the best lines we've seen so far. No airtime in the bottom left runner. Jacko, welcome back.
Good job, Jacko, and hello to Paula, and see you home in another 24 hours. Tied for 8th with John Jackson of Great Britain was Oscars Melbardis. Last year, the 2-man and 4-man standout of the season. He won the World Cup. He won half the races in each discipline. The Latvian can't find pace with a map and a torch this season.
Best start in the first heat, 478. Only 200ths off the track record, but brand new sled. He just hasn't figured it out yet. No rhythm, 479. You know, he does that. He won the World Cup 4-man title last year. He won the World Cup 2-man title. He won the combined. And he's done very well in the 2-man. He's medaled in all 3 2-man races, but the 4-man looks a little lost.
Well, the 4-man sled is the big change this year for the Latvians, isn't it? But he's as humble when he wins as when he doesn't. It's hard to tell from the way he talks to you whether it's been a great day at the office or a shocker.
Let's watch the back end of the sled here.
That's a good line again.
But boy, it's right down to 2/10. It should be enough.
Don't forget they were tied with Great Britain after the first heat. 2/10 up, so he's got more of a handle on it.
He shouldn't be back here. He should be in the top 3.
Wow, 49.03. That is comfortably the fastest run of the second heat, and that would have left him in 3rd place in the first heat. 4th place.
Brand new sled, still trying to find rhythm and feel. 5th and 8th in the first 2 events.
Well, both runs count, so a good second heat might not be enough.
Look at the heads. 4 huge men. Melbardis probably the biggest driver in the field. Little variance, little up and down, little check. Now he's got to dive out of this whip around. Watch the runner tips crossover from right to left. Ooh, he's steering away a little bit there. Steered he thought he was out too early, but this was a good correction. Look at the back bottom left runner is the key. That is airborne. Unlike John Jackson, who was the smoothest transition we may have seen in either heat so far.
He's just been watching that on the giant screen down at the finish area that faces this crowded grandstand, half full of Latvians, and shaking his head with the mistakes. Benny Meyer of Austria, what a first run this 20-year-old kid had. From Hull in Tyrol, son of the Austrian coach. Brother Raf had a stunning first heat in men's skeleton yesterday, but faded away.
492 start for a country that their most popular sport is skiing, their second most popular sport is skiing, and their third most popular sport is skiing. And the bobsledders, they only get handouts to compete, and this young Benny Meyer has been impressive. He's only 22 years old.
Yep. Great first run, third fastest start. Right, third after the start. He's 2400s down on Oscar's Melbardis, but if he can only lose one spot and stay in front of John Jackson and finish top 8,
big deal.
That'll be his biggest World Cup result.
That doesn't have it here, though. Now it's a question of how many spots is he going to fall. He was good here in the bottom part of the track, but I don't think he could be that good.
The Austrian sleds always produce great speed, don't they? Third place at the moment. He'll fall behind Jackson and Melbardis. He does. Third place. Still a top 10 finish.
Manfred on the left, Manfred Mehr's dad.
Yep.
Franz Joseph Hoffmann on the right. Longtime German and Austrian coach. Still, this kid got promise as he goes into the World Championship to his home track in Innsbruck, Eagles, Austria, February. And again, 22 years old. Start. Watch it come out of the drive lines. How's the energy? Oh, he's drifting right. Look at the feet. There's some hands moving back there. And does he hit? He's on the wrong side of that straightaway. You want to be middle left.
Yeah.
Get over away from that wall.
A couple of little errors have dropped him a spot or two, but he's still a top 10 finisher, Benny Meyer. Next up is the 6th place Russian, Alexander Stulnev. Alexei started first out of the start shed. Only 16th fastest of the getaway. There's your leaders. On the right, Oscar's Melbardis. There you go. He's very sanguine about this. He'll take it as it comes. Win, lose or draw. Not too much phases him.
16th best start, top 5. Tells you how good of a drive he had down the track. Similar 496 start, 100th worst. Boy, great line into curve 1 though. Look how low he is in the sled. His eyes are barely above the cowling. This guy crashed at Altenburg, had 6 stitches in his leg for the first 2 weeks of racing. Got the stitches out last Monday. And he's pretty good first run. Again, the Russians, terrible results yesterday. Nobody in the top 10. Here it looks like they got a chance for at least a couple sleds in the top 10. Still way behind here, though.
He's still in the red and dropping back. Melbardis and Jackson may well end up in front of him. He's second on the splits.
Oh, he's coming back,
he's coming back.
Wow, big speed. Gives his bottom part of the track. He was good. Hey, what a good comeback. Look at Pierre Luders.
Yeah.
Look at that. He saw some real promise for his driver on the bottom part of the track.
Only the 3rd fastest run, Melbardis of 49.03.
But they got 15 sleds down. They had the 12th best start. Yep. That's their nemesis. Good lines here. Look at his eyes. No one's lower in the cowling for an aerodynamic profile than Stulnev right here. And these were good lines. He'll skid a little bit here. Bottom part of the track, though, he went from 1900 deficiency to 9. So good lines on the bottom, Alexei.
But for a nation the size of Russia, they were outstarted by the Austrians. There's going to be some words about that. Oscar's Melbardis leads for Latvia. 5 to go here in Königssee. Unbeaten this year in any racing, Francesco Friedrich. 5th after the first of our 2 heats here in Königssee. 2100ths off the lead. He will not win today.
484 start the first run. 478. That's what his brakeman, yes. Torsten Margish, told me they're going to get a 478. In the first run, they only had an 84. And wasn't a good run down the track for Friedrich, who's won everything of the season so far.
2 tenths up.
And he's come from behind both weeks in the 4-man to win. He's got a lot of coming from behind here. He just wants to get on the podium.
1800s in front of Melbardis at the end of the first run.
Well, he's only 2100s.
Hundreds extra.
Should have been more than 2100s ahead with that start advantage. Down to 22 out. No, this is okay.
He only arcs down to Melbardis by 100th, and he just stays in front. 49.04. Melbardis came down 49.03.
He's going to need some help.
It ain't happening.
Well,
He is not winning here today. He won yesterday. He won both races in Winterberg, both of the season openers in Altenburg. But Friedrich der Grosse is not going to win today.
A lot of conversation about him trying to match Steve Holcomb's 7 straight wins to open the 2013-14 season. Today, I think that start time in the first run, 600 slower. If you think he would have about 1800s better in the bank with that similar start, ooh, that sled had a lot of air going in there to that
it
big
wasn't just the start.
curve.
It wasn't just the start. He told you yesterday he doesn't like this track.
After he won, I said to him, hey, you had 2 perfect runs. He goes, I don't even like this track.
Yeah, well, you may not be liking him back today in the 4-man. Friedrich leads, but by inches. 4 to go. Next up, Alexander Kasyanov. 500ths of a second out of Russia's first medal of the season. Could this be where they put a smile on the face of their coach, Pierre Luders? Because yesterday, he looked like the Grinch.
Oh, push bar.
Yeah, just wants to make sure it's snapping out and snapping back. That is Ilve Hutzin making sure his handle works.
.490 in the first run. In, down, go, very efficient. 49. He had some of the best lines down the track of anybody. He started 3rd in the competition, had good ice to work with, and he nailed it. But he's going to have to nail it again to have a chance to win a medal.
1400s behind now. The gap is growing to Friedrich.
9th and 6th in the first 2 races. He's going to have to really be perfect. Back end of the sled as they get air.
That's good.
No, that's really good. 1700s. Boys, he could fall too, but he was good here in the bottom part of the track. He might get this back a little bit here. 15. He might get back to 11 or 12, but he's going to fall
not
1.
Enough. He is out of the medals, and Friedrich is
picked off somebody
closer. 49.12 for Kasyanov. That's only the 4th fastest run of the heat.
Do you still stand by your statement that Friedrich can't win?
I do stand by my statement that Friedrich won't win.
Okay.
He could get a medal, but he won't win from 2100s back.
Well,
not here.
The Russians with the 9th and 10th best start times, they need to improve on that, especially look at the cohesion of all 3 of those arms coming up at the exact same time. Well drilled, well schooled, but boy, they need to find better hundreds at the start.
Yeah, the coach will say it's easy to get in if you're going slow. Rico Peter, Thomas Amrein, Bro van der Zijde, and Seaman Friedli.
Well, this guy, he hits everything in sight, and he's fast in every run. He lost the bronze medal last week by 100th. Yesterday in the 2-man, he lost by 300ths. He hasn't had a clean trip this season.
Best ever 4-man World Cup result, 3rd place Altenburg in January of this year, the last race before the World Champs.
But you know, sometimes the smoothest rides aren't the fastest. They don't have great starts, top 8, 49 first run. In, down quickly, very good efficiency, 47. Boy, this says the 16th best start speed. That's weird.
Well, listen, it's all about...
It's already +6.
It's about what he hits or he doesn't hit on the way down. Well, of course, he was outstarted
by Friedrich by 1200s. There it is. This is good. But that's what he does. This is what he does. He hits everything in sight.
Wasn't that bad in the first heat. Really wasn't that bad. Still 115.
So he's he should be plus 12 or 15 here. +5, look, I'm telling you, how do you figure this out? This guy hits everything in sight, and he just flies.
The sled is set up superbly.
He's
going to take a medal, equal his best ever World Cup 4-man performance. performance. Friedrich shakes his head. How does he do that?
You know, I hate saying I predicted it, but that was the worst drive lines we've seen in the last 10.
Yeah.
And this is all he's done all season.
Yeah.
The Swiss have always done good on this track. Rico, congratulations. You didn't get nosed out like you did last week or yesterday. Look at these lines. He looks like a two-man skid. But then he gets in around that Kreisel and he's lightning. So looking into the finish, this is where the speed was. Uphill section,
but
no mistakes allowed. He still hits the wall.
So, the runner choice was either inspired or absolutely spot on for the weather. And Rico Peter equals his best ever World Cup four-man result in third.
No German sweep this week.
600s covered the top two, 1200s the top three. Max Arndt was in the middle of that bunch. Can the double four-man world champion win here in Bavaria?
The most experienced team on the tour right now. These three guys behind him, Corona, Kuska, and Putzer. They need to dig deep. 485 in the first run. They're going to need 483. 484. Double world champion. Didn't have a great first run, I thought, Martin. I thought he was a little loose. But, you know, if he's as loose as that Swiss sled Rico Peter we just saw, but he's the only guy who can get away with it. That's not good.
Against Nico Walther, he can't afford any more errors. It's not about Rico Peter now, it's about being the best German, winning in Bavaria. The home of German ice sliding, although Oberhof might argue that. 1600s up, he's tripled his advantage over Rico Peter, but it's all about trying to lay down a run that Nico Walther cannot match.
Boy, big speed.
1900s up, this could be a winning run from Max Arndt at the line of 48.86, 300s off the fastest run in the first heat. 300's better than his best, and he is the only man in the top 12 who has gone quicker than his first run.
I think the crowd likes it. Max Arndt, he's used to being on the podium. The three guys with him are Olympic gold medalists. There's 10 world championships between that four-man team right here. Look at the lines, look at the rudder tips. Here it comes out a little bit early. Back end, little front end skid. Look at the rudder tips. He's not steering too much. He's got control.
All his experience, all the knowledge of this track, and still mistakes are made. This track is so hard.
Now, there's some pressure on this young Nico Walther.
Well, he responded yesterday, having been eased out of the podium in two-man for the previous 2 weekends. He held his nerve. He held his position.
By 100th of a second, though.
This time, it's not about being eased out of the podium, it's of taking gold away. Has Max Arndt done enough?
He's going to need a good start. 486 in the first run. He's going to have to get at least that, if not better. Doesn't have the experience crew that Arndt's got. And he's a former luge athlete, been down this track a lot in luge.
Leads by 500ths of a second.
And he's silver medal last year's World Championships.
Tiny bit tidier than Max Arndt.
That was pretty good there.
That's a good run down the bend away. Nico Walther with the lead at the Kreisel.
He's won one previous time, four-man in Altenburg on his home track last year in his rookie season. And here he's pulling away. Boy, there's so much talent in the German camp. Here's the third different German driver that's probably going to win a race this year.
He's going to beat the double world champion, the reigning world champion, Max Arndt, into second place. It is victory for Nico Walther. Germany 1-2-4, and Rico Peter takes an equaling best ever result in third.
Boy, look at the pressure. Look, he's had a lot of pressure on him to perform. Young 25-year-old. The faces of German bobsled. Wow. Not only are they great pilots, but they're so deep. Their start times, and they keep bringing guys off the bench to replace injured athletes. And
There's Friedrich there offering his congratulations.
First time he's lost.
Nico Walther.
And Gregor Berg back. Gregor, nice return. Gregor comes off the bench. They sent Andres Bregu home with an injury. Gregor comes off the bench. He was doing pilot sled. Look, he's in the gold medal position.
Yeah.
He also gave us a case of beer today, Martin, so we really like him.
We do. Nico Walther wins by 1800ths of a second over the double reigning world champion Max Arndt in the four-man pre-Christmas race here in Bavaria.
Not the best starts, 6 best starts, but boy, this young pilot, 25-year-old, has made a name for himself, and he's the 3rd different German to win in the first 3 weeks of the season. Wow.
Got to drive this track to win it. It's not about the start. Francesco Friedrich now beaten for the first time this year, but he still leads our 2-man and 4-man World Cup rankings. Nico Walther second, just ahead of Max Arndt. Rico Peter on their heels in 4th. Last year's World Cup champion Oskars Melbardis in 5th position as he struggles to get to grips with the new 4-man sled in the Latvian lineup. And that is it for Christmas. We head now into a 3-week break before we rejoin in Lake Placid, New York, the first weekend of January, and let battle lines be redrawn. Well, you have to have a big start on this track, but boy, you have to be clean down the bend away and in the lower labyrinth. There's not a corner here, John, that can't take a win away from you if you get it wrong.
What a presentation of our sport. Unbelievable athleticism, the technology, the setting. The setting is surreal. And what an educated spectator group we have.
Yes, it really is.
It is. These people know their sliding sports, not bobsled, skeleton. And this is more of a luge area.
Well, Berchtesgaden is the home of the FIL, the Luge Federation, and the track, as you say, originally was built as a luge track. Berchtesgaden, though, is a nucleus of sliding talent and love. And anytime you come to Berchtesgaden, to the Königssee track, you really feel that from the fans. Nico Walther winning by 1800ths over Max Arndt. Rico Peter nearly 4/10ths back, but his career best equaling 3rd position here. A great run from him, and despite a couple of bings on the wall and some skiddy bend-away work, he still found pace in that Citius sled to get in amongst the medals, and that's a remarkable performance from the Swiss. He is really at the peak of his career. And of course, there's some Bosna, some Glühwein, Bretzel, plenty to keep the kids entertained alongside the track here. And from Berchtesgaden, Bavaria, we head to another nucleus of sliding. A first race post-Christmas. First, the North American swing will be in the former Olympic venue at Lake Placid in the Adirondack Mountains of New York State. Can barely wait 3 weeks. That's going to be a nice late Christmas present. Packed crowd at the finish area here in Berchtesgaden to celebrate our 4-man race. Francesco Friedrich still leads the World Cup rankings, but the gap now down to only 13 points over winner here, Nico Walther. Max Arndt in 3rd, Rico Peter, Oskars Melbardis giving chase to our German trio, as we had a fascinating edge-of-the-seat finish to the pre-Christmas swing. John Morgan, it was touch and go every way round. Top 3 covered by only 1200ths after the first round, and somehow Nico Walther eased away.
Well, great week for him to enter the Christmas break. He's also his favorite movie, Star Wars.
Oh, yeah.
So he's got a big week coming up. Nico Walther, what a way to enter the Christmas holidays. But they got the German championships they got to worry about. The pressure in the German camp. As I already said, 3 different German pilots have won in the first 6 races. We'll see what happens when we get to North America. Might be a little bit more Latvian, American, Canadian influence there.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens to Walther and Friedrich when they're on tracks they really don't know at all.
Russians did pretty good today, too.
Russians, yeah, Kazyanov in 5th position. The others out of the top 10, but Kazyanov did at least get a top 6 finish. Stilnev in 7th.
Little Benny Meyer, though, in 9th. That was pretty impressive.
Big run from him. Big run back for John Jackson as well. First race back after the Olympic Games at the senior level. 8th place. Take that every day of the week. And he'll be home soon to his young family. Everybody dispersing to all 4 corners of the winds now. Ready for 3 weeks, in some cases, of training, in some of rest and recuperation. There's a few athletes started the season hurt and need that time to recover. Steve Holcomb, not the least of whom.
Very, very enthusiastic sliding crowd.
Well, lots of yellow jackets for Germany on the podium. Nico Walther there, and the tall bearded figure of Marco Hubenbecker on the right. Rico Peter, Darren Steele, Vice President of the IBSF. Yeah, go ahead, Darren, present the flowers. There's Hubi, Nico Walther, Gregor Birnbach, and Eric Franke. Frankeroo, the new boy in that lineup. Max Arndt, Kevin Corona, Kevin Kuska, Martin Putzer there, receiving his flowers. And in 3rd place, Rico Peter, Thomas Amrine, Dutchman Bror van der Zijde, and Simon Friedrich. We'll chat with Thomas Lamparter at the top of the track earlier, who's been here all weekend. His head of sport for the Swiss Sliding Federation now. It's a drug, you can't keep away from this stuff. Well, there it is then. There is your podium to end the pre-Christmas swing. So on behalf of John Morgan and everybody here in Königssee, I'm Martin Haven, wishing you Frohe Weihnachten, Feliz Navidad, Joyeux Noel, Buona Natale. Merry Christmas, everybody. We'll see you in Lake Placid, first weekend of January. Until then, auf Wiedersehen and goodbye.
Achso, die müssen das Foto machen. Jungs, lacht. Ich war zu schnell. Jetzt, für mich kommt klatschen, nein, auf geht's.